Hello, trumpet players. Today I want to really quick make an unscheduled video because I wasn't planning on doing this just yet, but I had a question on the worst way to practice video that I just did. And Jack of Spades asked me if I had done a video yet on what is Ricky Tick swing and how do you not play that way. So that's going to be now. Let's talk about it. What is Ricky Tick swing? How do you avoid doing it? Ricky Tick swing is when the downbeats are short and the upbeats are long. If I do a major scale, C major scale, playing Ricky Tick swing, it sounds like this. And let me do some of the etude real quick. I'm going to do it in slow motion because this is hard for me, actually. Okay? Do you hear that? Short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, you know? Okay, all the downbeats are short. We don't want that. Now, as I've said in other videos, that is a legitimate style. It's not a style that we use in the schools. We commonly today, at least the people I know, commonly call it Guy Lombardo style. If you couple that short, long, short with a lot of vibrato, right? I'm not very good at, I can do that when I'm in the mood, but on the gig or whatever, but that didn't sound so good. Anyway, but you get the idea. It's a legitimate style of swing if you're playing that kind of gig. It is not legitimate in all-state jazz or your jazz band at school. Let's say you're playing a Duke Ellington tune. No, do not play Ricky Tick. Let's say you're playing a Woody Herman tune. No. Count Basie tune. There are times when a composer or an arranger will insert like 2 beats of Ricky Tick into the tune just for an effect. But other than that, and it's actually written different. They'll actually notate it in a way that it makes it clear that it's supposed to be short downbeats. All right? Let's talk a little bit, before we talk about how to not do it, let's talk about why you're doing it. I believe, now before I say this, I have the utmost respect for other jazz educators. So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not saying that your band directors are stupid or anything like that. I have a great deal of respect for your band directors, and I hope that you will too. I am not, there are other trumpet players on YouTube that actually preach disrespect to their band directors, to make you want to disrespect your own band director. I'm not one of those. You can separate me from them. And if you prefer them, that's fine. Go watch their videos. I'm teaching you to respect your band directors, okay? Whether they agree with me or not. But in this case, so I do believe in the handing down of information from generation to generation, from teacher to student. I believe in that. But I also believe that sometimes, not all the time, sometimes what's handed down, there's like a speed bump along the way, and something starts getting taught in a way that actually creates things worse, not better. Okay, and this is one of those things. I think a lot of jazz educators start off teaching you that swing is a rhythm. Swing is not a rhythm, not for us, not as horn players. I'm not saying that we're not supposed to feel a rhythm. Swing is more of a meter, but the actual physical aspect of what we're supposed to be doing physically, even that is not where we're going. So a meter is not just a number at the beginning of the staff. Meter is not just the time signature. Meter is in the jazz and funk world, we call it a groove. Every song has a groove, a meter, a feel, and swing is a feel. It's a groove. It's a meter, okay? But what we do with our melodic line to make it swing, from a mechanical sense, is ruined when we try to teach it as a triplet, okay? So I never tell my students it's a triplet. And you know what? It's not a triplet. For that matter, that's one good reason not to call it a triplet. You know, in the old days of Finale, Finale is a music writing software. And I've been using Finale since 1993. And in the old days, if you wanted swing, you had to program it into the computer, into the software. And I remember that first time I programmed it as a triplet, and it was horrendous. It sounded bad. Bad, bad, bad. In fact, it sounded like Ricky Tick. Even though the first note wasn't short, it still sounded Ricky Tick. So I think that's part of the problem, is if you're trying to make it a triplet, it's not really a triplet. I think it's closer to a ratio of 3 to 2. It's more like a quintuplet. But even that, and why would I not say, oh, think of it as a quintuplet? Well, because that's so advanced and complicated and complex, and it's not necessary. So we're talking now, I'm going to tell you what your best way to learn how to play swing. It's kind of simple, but if you're thinking of it as a triplet, if your band directors have told you that it's a triplet, that's 90% of the problem right there. It's not a triplet. Don't think of it as a triplet. Okay? So, and I think that's where this Ricky Tick stuff is coming from. It's from the way you're taught. If you're taught to make it a triplet, I would say that's almost impossible as a beginner to play triplet pattern without making that first note short. All right? So I have two things I want to tell you. Number one is more important than number two. Number one is more important. The first thing you need to do, if you want to learn how to play swing better, is listen to swing. And I don't mean this, in the 90s, I think it was, they came out with a new revival of swing bands. Don't listen to that. Not that it's bad, but go back to the source. You live in a time today that I didn't have when I was your age. You can listen to Count Basie, all of his albums almost. You can listen to Duke Ellington, all of his albums. And when I was your age, that's what we were told to do. If you want to learn how to swing, you listen to Count Basie, you listen to Duke Ellington. That's what you did. And the mechanics of what you're doing, if you listen to those recordings enough, that swing will rub off on you. You want to submerge yourself in that environment. If the majority of what you listen to is something other than swing, good luck trying to swing. So if you're concerned about playing Ricky Tick, I think these auditions are in October, right? If you're concerned about playing Ricky Tick in the auditions, I'm going to tell you, listen to at least 5 hours a week of Duke Ellington and Count Basie, between now and the auditions. 5 hours a week. That's the most important thing. Get it in your ears. Get it in your heart. Okay? Don't try to play something that's so organic. You know what I mean by organic? Natural. Okay? Earthy. Don't try to play swing, this wonderfully natural kind of music. Don't try to play that with your analytical head. Use your analytical head to create an environment for you to live in right now that your heart can absorb what the swing sounds like. All right, that's number one, and that's most important out of everything. But let's go to number two, because this is more of a technical, practical thing that you can do. If you, because I think a lot of guys, gals, a lot of students um, have not been told yet that you don't tongue all the notes. And it's not that it's impossible to swing if you tongue all the notes. I'm not saying that. There are some great players that tongue everything. Um, so no, I'm not saying don't tongue, don't tongue everything. That it's possible. But if you're trying to learn swing as a beginner, it's a lot easier and more practical to learn swing by slurring from the upbeat to the downbeat. And that's the general rule. And in jazz, just like everything else in life, the rule will be broken. Different contexts will dictate that slurs be moved. But the main thing is to remember that what's written on the page in terms of slurs, I'm looking at the first etude. How many slurs are written? 0. That's because in jazz, the slurs are interpretive. You get to do the slurs that make sense to you, and you have freedom on the slurring as long as it fits the style. So the objective for you in the all-state auditions is to slur in a way that makes you sound legitimate. And the rule is slur the upbeats to the downbeats, make sure the downbeats are legato, and that's going to get you closer to a swing. Don't think about triplets, okay? Just by changing your swing thoughts to more of a meter. And how are you gonna get that meter? By listening. But then the mechanics of it is just by changing it to a articulation, a swing articulation pattern. That's when those two things combine, that's when you're gonna be able to play convincing swing. Okay, I'm gonna play the major scale that way. I'm swinging, I'm slurring the upbeat to the downbeat. C is tongued, the D is tongued, but then the D is slurred to the E. Then the F is tongued, the F is slurred to the G. Check it out again. Okay, now let's look at the etude using what I just showed you. You see that? Legato downbeats, the downbeats are nice and long. Slur from the upbeat to the downbeat. That's, you combine those two. I know I'm repeating myself. I want it to sink in, okay? You combine the listening with the articulation. Listening, articulation. And you will have, coming out of that, and it doesn't take long to at least get started. It doesn't take long. but you will have a sense of swing, at least a remedial sense of swing, better than the Ricky Tick stuff if you put those two things together. I'm going to say it one more time. Listening, most important part. If you do enough listening, you don't have to be told where to slur. You'll just feel that organically. Jazz is a very natural sound. Okay? Listening, articulation. Listening, articulation. Make it blend. And that's how you swing. And that's how you avoid Ricky Tick. All right? I hope that answers your question. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask below. And other than that, God bless you, and we will see you on the next video. Thank you very much.